It is currently 10:31 a.m. and you're looking at this light activity that's on my floor. That's what you're focused on. That's called engineered light, and this is engineered light that's appearing underneath a covered structure. Okay, the sun is above us. The sun is the object that is directly above us, but not hovering above us, first of all. But also the fact that it's above us, sunlight comes down at a downward trajectory. Sunlight is not going to reach underneath covered structures to appear in this manner. You've also seen, again, as I've documented day in and day out, the engineer light, not only is it here in the morning, it's coating the wall. You see the shadow of the staircase on that wall, speaking to the trajectory of light. That's not the product of what would be sunlight. That's that pattern of horizontally shot light. You're seeing it on the floor here. You're seeing it on the inside of my apartment here. And you're also paying attention to the time. It's 10:31. This is the light source that's directly over my head while I'm inside of my apartment at 1806 North Alvarado Street. So I want you to see that. The entity in this same exact location, it's right over my head at 12 o'clock, at 1 o'clock, as I step outside as late as 2 o'clock, in front of the same apartment. I've documented this. This is also the same hillside where I've captured the sunrise, as I've shown you, reminding you, again, inside and outside of daylight savings time. The sunrise at 6:45, 7 in the morning, never the sun. This is the maintenance of the light source, and also what I'm going to remind you of is not only is this, again, at the end of the day, which is what I captured yesterday, the sun setting in alignment to my apartment. So the entity is suggesting, let's count the hours, okay? It's 10:30 right now. Let's look at that time again. 10:33, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is 9 hours from now. The entity is in the specific environment because 9 hours from now, the sun would never be in any position that it would be outside of my apartment window, this same address. 9 hours from now, where I'm looking at the light source outside of my bedroom window. This is this side of my same apartment, the living room window. 9 hours from now, the sun is not remaining in any position where it's ever reaching somebody in Florida or in Nebraska or in Mississippi or New York, okay? Let alone Arizona. It's not even going over any courthouse in Los Angeles while it remains over on the same property outside of my windows, which is the specific environment, okay? That pattern, that duration of time is speaking to the crime scene where the government's engaged in state surveillance, and the government's doing it in concert with the people who are in that environment surrounding me, engaging in what is a sex offense, because I'm inside of a private space right now. And this is also why you see the entity stalking me in helicopters where I'm remaining, and this engineered light and the light source remains. You don't forget the evidence. You've seen the engineered light on my ceiling. You've seen it appear and disappear. Then you see it shoot at a downward trajectory at the same time, as though this is the sun and that's sunlight. Yeah, that's never happening, never naturally happening, nor is the sun going to be present 9 hours from now, setting in alignment while I'm inside of the same apartment. That is the pattern of what the entity engages in, keeping the target individual, that's myself, as the center of the universe. This is rising and setting, rising on the east side of my person, setting on the west side of my person, while I remain at the same address. And there is at no time of day ever going to be the sun that's going to be present at the same time. Again, let's capture, it's 10:33 and I'm capturing this video, so I want to remind you about what is occurring during the same time of year while I'm showing you the crime scene, which is the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, where the entity is maintaining a light source, as I've shown you so many times. And this is specific evidence against that entity that is indeed a group stalker. And this is a courthouse that is rendered entirely illegitimate, while not only what is terrorism is underway, as I'm capturing that light source that's remaining directly over my head, but the entity is maintaining this light source over my head and doing so while also engineer light is remaining over me. And at 10:29 in the morning, there is no sun. Okay, and there's only one sun, so I use this language specifically. The sun, in other words, is not remaining over my apartment as you see it right now, and also maintaining presence over the courthouse, which is the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. So I'm going to show that. If I have it uploaded on my 06, 1 second. Okay, capturing, here is the video. On June 23rd, 2022, I am at the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, which is located at 8303 North Haven Avenue. And you're looking at the light source that's directly over me while I am at 1806 ALVARADO Street, apartment number 6. As I'm facing, remember, it's not just the address. We're going all the way down to the specific, like, ecological location, longitude, latitude. That's how precise the federal government can get with regard to speaking to the absence of any basis for any constitutional argument for being prosecuted as a corrupt entity that's keeping an American citizen under surveillance. And it is shown through what is a scientific impossibility, as you are aware of and have, as the P.O.C. have shown, what is the unnatural environment where a demonic surveillance system is underway, and it is revealing what is public corruption. And so it goes as follows. There's no sun that would be visible through my living room window, as I'm showing you right here. This is the light source that's over me as I'm looking outside my living room window. The same address with the same window where I'm showing you the sunrise as early as 6 and 7 in the morning, where there's ever going to be a sun, which is speaking to the specific environment. And this is legally relevant. It's explosive evidence because you have a courthouse that is a crime scene, which is revealing what is criminal conduct that's underway by those that are also, what are you simultaneously aware of? That they're demon possessed. This is no ordinary criminal, not only because it's a government, but because this is demonic possession that's also being exposed while a corrupt government is engaging with a surveillance and terrorism of an American citizen, and doing it in the most malicious manner. This is the same courthouse entertaining many fictitious prosecutions in order to silence me. That is the criminal purpose of seeking to obstruct justice, and it shall be prosecuted. This is the grounds for what is removing a court from existence. That courthouse, no judge, no DA, no public defender, no probation department, no court clerk are above the law, okay? And they are engaged in what is state surveillance at the courthouse of the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. As I remain inside of my apartment at 9:42 today, the entity was maintaining the light source over me. Okay, because it's not at the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court at 9:42 in the morning and then bouncing to be inside and remaining in alignment to my apartment here in Los Angeles. And so while you're looking at what is the light source that remains over me in Rancho Cucamonga, I want you to be mindful of what you're looking at that's occurring here. And it's not occurring at the same time with regard to what is revealing a specific environment where the crime scene of what is federal group stalking and monitoring is underway. So it's not only the light activity that is impossible to occur, like you see here, while I'm at 8303, and you're looking at a group stalker that's wearing a nice suit. He's crossing path. He's a demon-possessed third party and or state actor, because if this is an attorney at law, he's engaged in the crime scene, but he's doing so also at a state facilitating venue. I want to be clear, this in and of itself, because of who this group stalker is acting in concert with, the state, the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, the courthouse, the entity that masquerades as though it has legal authority to kidnap you in the name of the law while they abuse the criminal justice system. That's grounds of federal prison on its face. Just want to be clear. Remember, where the entity engages in the criminal pattern of conduct is legally relevant. All right. Who the entity is acting in concert with is legally relevant, and they are walking under what is literally the evidence against them and the whole state of California. Same time of year and time of day analysis is relevant here. At 9:42 a.m., there is no sun that's going to be the product of this light activity you see down here. This is today. Again, it's currently 10:39 in the morning. Okay, this is impossible light activity, but I also want you to see at 9:42 a.m., there's no sun that's going to be over 8303 Haven Avenue during the same time of year at the same time. The entity maintained that light source and maintained engineer light on my living room floor, as you've already seen. The entity remained right here in LA outside of my living room window. There's no sun that's over the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court at this time, nor at the same time. This is clearly over me where I stand, not sharing any sky space with 8303 Haven Avenue in Rancho Cucamonga, California. Okay, nor is being in this environment ever going to engage in creating engineer light moving across the gate of 1826 Lobdell Place. That's the specific environment. This is where the entity is maintaining. Talking by helicopter, and it's over 215 East C Street. This is P.O.C. And this is okay. What you just saw right there are two group stalkers that are pacing. So you're looking at two that are wearing suits. You're looking at the light activity that's created while they're walking in engineer light, and they're walking in opposite directions. Remember, this is what the demons want to do. A demon wants to do this. It's a mentally ill, as we would refer to it in the natural. This is a psychopath that wants to do this in the engineer light while the light source remains directly over you. This is what a demon wants to do. Pace in front of you, pace all around you, following you wherever you go. That's the pattern of conduct. The entity hides its mental psychosis, tries to. I'm letting you know the spiritual significance and the criminal conduct that's underway, and it's occurring at a courthouse, and it is documentation of what is terrorism, and it's happening right in your face. You're looking at two demons that are crossing path. They're pacing together. One's walking by, the other's walking in the opposite direction, and this is occurring while the light source is directly over me, which is not the natural environment at the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. So I want you to pay attention to what you just saw again. Talking by helicopter, and it's over 215 East C Street. This is P.O.C. And this is the Ranch Cucamonga Superior Court. That's the police crossing path. Monitoring with doing so in concert with the demon-possessed law enforcement agency. Remember, I'm capturing this over and over and over again while these corrupt agencies like to use helicopter while the people engage in the same exact pacing. You're looking at it under the malicious guise of what is traffic, of the combination of what are those that are pedestrians. They like to include minor children to throw you off with regard to what you're looking at. These are psychopaths that are obsessively stalking and targeting another and want to outwardly maintain their composure, their dignity, maybe even some position where you're unjustly and ignorantly affording them some sort of privilege or power or influence, or based on some position that they have that they're not even qualified for because they're demons, they're terrorists. All right, but this is what's occurring in plain sight, and it's in the specific venue, and this is the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, where this terrorism is being documented on video in the specific environment that is not shared with the environment where I remain in Los Angeles. Okay. Because this is not over the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. Can you see that? Yeah, it's directly over me here. In addition to that, we're going to go, when did I start this video? I started this video for a purpose at 10:31 in the morning because I captured more than this video, and I'm speaking to the entity stalking me by helicopter on this day where the light source remains over me. Which is not possibly the sun over my head where the Ontario police are stalking by helicopter, and it's over 215 East C Street. This is P.O.C. And this is the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. That's the police crossing path. Monitoring with the police federal prison, okay? Doing so at what is the grounds of the court. Let me be clear. The demons sit on the bench in here. Demons sitting in practicing law inside of, I don't even know if this is This is a psychopath who's checking his watch. He's stalking. He's group stalking in plain sight, engaged in what is the demonic behavioral pattern, pacing around you, hiding. The demons act as one in order to avoid this psychopath doesn't want to run back and forth in front of me. So the demons act as one and they pace around, walking and driving in opposite directions all around you, flying over your head in planes and helicopters all over you while the light source remains directly above you. And you're identifying that crime scene because there's no sunlight and there's no sun that's going to be over me in Los Angeles at the same time. What else I captured on this day was the light source over me at 10:29 a.m., which is why I captured this video, starting it at approximately 10:31 in the morning. 10:29 and 10:31 is a negligible difference. You're talking about what is same time of year analysis. You're talking about what is impossible to occur, that at 10:29 and then 10:31 in the morning, the sun's going to be over my apartment, that at 9:42 a.m. it's going to be over the court, and then it's going to be over my apartment. Obviously, you know that that's not the case. It's not even reasonable to contend. And it's also already established as not being the case because the entity is engaged in what is a documented sunrise and sunset here in Los Angeles, which is speaking to the impossibility that the sun would ever be in any position to be directly over the courthouse, not only over the courthouse, but directly over my head at the courthouse during the same time of year and at the same time. And this is what I capture on 10:29 a.m. The entity is crossing path in helicopter, doing so while the light source is remaining directly over my head, and that's evidence against the people of the state. Joan Kim, who's going to federal prison, a documented terrorist and a sex offender acting in concert, on behalf of the entity, where you're seeing her stalking in a hallway at an apartment complex, and her shadows are on both sides of her. Okay, her and her son, hold on, let me turn the camera on. Her and her son are documented sex offenders and group stalkers living at a residence. The entity just flew over by helicopter. The entity is group stalking in the specific environment where there is no, let me move this, sorry, where there is no sun that's gonna be over me in the same zenith position while I'm at the courthouse. Okay, so I wanna make sure that you're understanding how all the facts are continuously being gathered while you're witnessing the pattern of conduct, and I'm showing you what is the prosecution of an entire courthouse that is a facilitating venue where state terrorism, and they have the absence of any legal authority, no legitimacy, no jurisdiction, while they also engaged in not only state surveillance and criminal obstruction of justice, but they did so by entertaining a fictitious prosecution, including by virtue of making up information about a prosecution that they were engaging in, and on more than one occasion. And every judge and every attorney, every probation officer, every police officer that are documented engaged in, and deputy, every facility, the West Valley Detention Center, Glen Helen Rehabilitation Center, Central Detention Center. These are crime scenes. These are facilitating venues where group stalking is underway. Psychological torment, okay, is underway. The entity group stalking me in helicopters while I'm in these facilities. The entity keeping the light source. I want you to understand everything about the pattern of conduct that I've pointed out to you that's occurring here, which is the crime scene. The entity is maintaining the crime scene at each and every one of those state facilitating venues, because that's all they are. Not a legitimate courthouse, not a legitimate facility, rehabilitation facility. The demon possessed are wearing badges, and they are engaged in what is demonic, having multiple shadows, group stalking with the inmates, group stalking with these so-called medical workers while they are together, engaging in what is state surveillance, psychological torment, and seeking to criminally defame. That is what is spelling out a federal prosecution and federal prison for a large amount of the population that occupy positions in the government in California. All right, that's relevant to what is public corruption. At 10:29 a.m., this is the punchline right here. There's no sun that's going to be over me like this while I'm in LA, while I'm facing the east, where the Los Angeles Police Academy is group stalking by facility on the east. All right, in alignment to me. There's no sun that's over the courthouse that is at the same time maintaining presence. Remember, this light source remains over me for the duration of the day. So forgive me, this is a screen recording. So when you don't use the camera, I'm using it so that you can see what's going on. But when you're not actually taking pictures of the video, that's why it'll automatically close it like that. But I want you to see again, this is 10:29 in the morning. So let's take a look at what happened at around the same time, during the same time of year, while I remain in LA, and this is the light source that's directly over me. Let's remember what happened. 303 Haven Avenue in Rancho Cucamonga, and at 215 East Street and the Ovid Family Community Library, where the demons of the Ontario Police Department are present, engaging what is group stalking in plain sight. Those are hostile demons, as I've heavily documented them, stalking me day and night by helicopter, stalking with their demon-possessed police officers in vehicles, using the resources of police departments to engage in what is a corrupt system. This is what's underway at the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. The sun is not in its zenith perfectly over the top of my head here and also there at the same time, nor would it, as I've documented, when I'm coming nowhere near this courthouse, the entity is keeping the fake sun over the Ovid Family Community Library all day long. But also remember, that's only while I remain at the Ovid Family Community Library, because that's not happening while I'm at Fontana, not happening while it's over the roof of the Upland Public Library, for example. In addition to that, the entity kept the fake sun while the Ontario Police Department, a bunch of demons, engaging in what is criminal monitoring, wage false allegations with the people of the state with whom they're monitoring, and engage in what is a kidnapping and criminal defamation, which is what I remain subject to at the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. It is, again, currently 10:31 a.m. This is operation of a communication device and crossing path, and this is the criminal conduct of the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. There is no exception. This is speaking to what is the corrupt agency, the facilitating venue of what are the courts is underway. All right, and it is, again. So I want to make sure that you saw that light activity that group stalker engaged in while they drove by me, which is crossing path in a vehicle. Engineer Light moved across that courthouse, which is, again, the same criminal conduct that you saw Universal Waste engaging in. Group stalking is admitted while you engage in that show of what is terrorism on its face. All right, that is literally the admission against a whole government that you are engaged in what is state terrorism, because that's what group stalking is. It's terrorism committed by a government that's keeping you under surveillance, doing so via demonic methods that are beyond the ability of an ordinary American citizen, the ordinary targeted individual, to even have the adequate language or vocabulary or imagination to describe, which is revealing what is malice. And that's why you go to federal prison for the state that's engaging in that. And while you act in concert with that state, threatening the life of an American citizen right in their face, as the entire property, by the way, that lives at Alvarado Gardens has ceaselessly engaged in, the whole property is going to federal prison because they live at a crime scene. And that is an intolerable amount of facilitation, but also because they are systematically engaged in criminal cooperation, facilitation with a law enforcement agency that is a documented stalker while I remain here at the specific environment where there's no sun over the courthouse at 8303 Haven Avenue, where it's also setting, as I reminded you, while this group stalker is crossing paths while I'm in Rancho Cucamonga, same time of year, same time. Impunity, that's federal prison. Directed light is across the brick wall, every iteration of what is demonic, okay? Directed light across that wall, that's P.O.C. Crossing path. This is somebody that works in the court that's outside engaged in criminal monitoring. When you run the tape back, you will see the highlighted, the illumination of that wall. That's not sunlight. That is the pattern that you have seen group stalkers that are driving dumpster trucks, engaging in what is ordinary targeting conduct on a routine basis with impunity, and doing so with knowledge that they are being documented, engaging in what is just criminal conduct, which is a threat to your life and your mental well-being. This is the same thing that's occurring at a courthouse relevant position as well. I've already documented it here in Los Angeles, and it is an impossible occurrence. Every time, at all times of day, never is sunlight ricocheting off of any vehicle while you are driving under the sun. That is engineered light, the same engineered light that you see appearing underneath structures, creating engineered light in my shadows above my head, on my ceiling and all of my apartment and my office, on the property outside while my shadow is upright. That's that engineered light. And it is the admission of a group stalker who was also demon possessed, and they're providing evidence against a whole entity, including the entire state of California.
Engaging in monitoring.
This is what was occurring at the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court.
In the private space as well. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, they're engaged in this act of terrorism, coming onto the grounds, engaging in the criminal elements, monitoring with the state and LAPD. That is the impossible light moving across the building.
Okay, that's the light activity that's moving across a courthouse, which is the identification of a crime that's ongoing. Because it's remarkable, meaning it's peculiar. It is impossible, in other words. These are terms that I'm using. They are synonymous with what is demonic. And a government engaging in what is stalking you and repeatedly engaging in a pattern of a pattern that is employing the demonic to keep you under surveillance, and also with the intent to criminally defame that American citizen, is serving what is the grounds of what is a federal prosecution for federal group stalking and monitoring. So I just want to remind you, the entity that's engaged in group stalking is maintaining a specific environment with real-time knowledge of everything that I continuously document about this criminal system that I ceaselessly am subject to. Okay, the entity is group stalking, including while I captured this video flying in relevant position in a helicopter, and the entity doing so while don't forget every day that you're looking at the light source being covered up in the sky as though that was the natural environment. It was as demonic as you see that light source over me and over the courthouse, as I give that one single example with regard to what is a natural environment. You're looking at the light source that's present, as I already captured before. I've captured the sunrise outside of this living room window. That is never removed from the record, ever. There is no point where you're covering up the light source as though that is rebutting the allegations of the ordinary target individual. When they're talking about the sun rising and sun setting over them, the P.O.C. is establishing that that is a fact. It is actually occurring, and the government is stalking that person where they are subject to that environment. And that environment is terrorism on its face. Okay? And the entity is engaging in what is demonic, which is terrorism perpetrated by government. In concert with the people of the state, they're living in that environment all around that target individual, group stalking, engaging in surveillance, and federal stalking in violation of Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2 together. And they do so with real-time knowledge. As you see the people of the state group stalking in a dumpster truck, and engineered light moves across an apartment building. There is no respecter of persons with regard to that crime scene and identifying the criminal. It is the state, and it is every single last third party and or state actor in the airspace and on the ground, whether you know them by name or not. It is currently 10:53 a.m. and this is P.O.C.